Hi everyone, I wanted to record this video today because our list has just come out. You can see in the upper left corner the red postings, which ones have been produced and which ones are still coming online. This is a great time to start downloading your list. If you are new to Roddy's foreclosure listing service, or you a customer that's been around for a long time, hopefully this video is something that you're looking for. It's going to show you how to go grab the list, how to filter, different ways to make sure that you're looking at the right properties for sale. And it's kind of taking the first steps of the list that you have and figuring out what you're going to do next. So once you log in, you're going to go into the system and you have your pre-foreclosure list, pre-foreclosure data. This is where you would access everything that you have. For me, I'm going to go to foreclosure list and I'm going to choose a county. So if I go down and I choose a county, I'm going to choose Travis County or Austin, Texas area. So first I'm going to choose a county, and then you can filter it based on cities, zip codes, residential. Now, if you've been doing this a long time, you know exactly what you're looking for. You're going to be looking at the residential, the commercial, strip centers, townhouses. You could be looking at all of that. If you are new to real estate, or you're new to flipping houses, or you're new to courthouse steps, I would recommend that you just focus on single family houses. Now, we obviously sell lists and leads for all sorts of different products, but what I'm going to focus on in this video and the next video is just single family houses. What it would take to buy your first house at auction. So many of you, that is the goal. Buy a house at auction and either keep it as a rental or sell it. So when I'm here, first I go through the county. I don't have a preference on city, but if there's certain cities that you like, if you only want to do ones that you live near, you can pick cities over here and filter. In order to choose more than one, you just hit the control button before you do. So in this case, I'll go ahead and I'll just click Austin and just click BK, and those are the only two counties we're going to be looking for. One of the next filters is this building type. That's what I was just talking about. You with your subscription, as soon as you buy the pre-foreclosure list, you have access to all of these. Now, but again, if you've already been doing real estate for a long time, you know which ones you want and why you want them. But if you're new, you're looking at just buying your first house at auction, that's the process we're going to go through. So I'm just going to click residential. So residential is going to be houses. It's going to be single family houses primarily. There's other categories for townhouses, which are, there might be some condos or townhouses that get classified as residential, but in general, residential is going to be single family houses. Another thing that I like to do is I like to choose a specific construction rate. If you're new, I would recommend houses that are newer because there's less construction. But if you have experience as a contractor, or you've owned and remodeled older houses and there's a certain niche or a certain area that you really want to focus on, then you can do these different year builds. But I'm going to start with just saying anything built after 2000. So newer houses, most likely built by a home builder in a tract neighborhood, and where it'd be easier to comp, easier to see what's going on. Now we have all these different ratios we can look at. You can look up a specific borrower's name, loan to tax value, loan amount ranges. You could do that to narrow it down, but I choose not to narrow down any of that, because even though it's true that if somebody owes $100,000 on a house, a lot of the lenders, they're going to start that opening bid above, at or above that $100,000. On occasion, regardless of how much is owed, the opening bid can come out at a fraction of what that is sent for. So that's when you would be looking at, if you only did things that looked like they had a high amount of equity, you'd be missing out on the houses that get the best deals on that day. You can also choose what type of loan that you want down here. Conventional loan, Federal Housing Authority, Veterans Administration, mechanics liens. You buy just mechanics liens, homeowners associations, contract for deed, tax mortgage. What I prefer to do is start with highlighting everything, but I'm going to take off the things that I don't recommend beginners buy. I don't recommend tax mortgage, contract for deed, homeowners associations, or mechanics liens. Those are ones that if you buy them, you wouldn't necessarily own the house, or you would own the house, but it would be subject to paying other things or extra restrictions. Plenty of videos and lessons later about how you might want to do those. But for right now, if you're just looking at buying your first house at auction, trying to flip it, I would focus on these. It is more likely that it's going to be a loan that's going to foreclose properly. Some people would even say don't buy home equity loans because there's a chance it's a second. I would agree, you don't want to buy a second deed of trust, but some of the ones that are in home equity loans are first position loans. So now I'm going to hit search, and that's going to take my list down to the 23 houses. There's a couple things you can do now. You can say just view all of them, and filter through and just looking to make sure everything looks normal. So as you go through, one of the things that looks normal is, who is the mortgagee? Does it sound like a lender? There's a life insurance company, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. Here's one that's TXPLCB LLC. So as you go through the different names, I'm looking for something that might look like a homeowners association or not a true loan. I don't see any of those. Next thing I'm trying to do is make sure there aren't any homeowners association liens that I'm going to be bidding on. Now this won't be a perfect system. You still do need to do your title research later, but something you can start with is just looking at these original amounts owed on the loan. And if they're less than $10,000 or $20,000, or the unpaid balance is less than $10,000 or $20,000, I think that's a good clue that it's not a mortgage that's going to get you to buy that house. So I'm going to scroll through here and I'm going to look at all these different values. 561, 561, 565, Stallion Tax Real Estate Fund, going through the amount. So these all look like legitimate loans. Now, a couple that seem a little bit strange to me are these LLC loans or real estate funds. But for now, I'm going to leave those in, and those would be sorted out later at auction. It may just be private lenders or other things that are there. So now you can either take this and sort it different ways. This is what people have asked about a lot. How can they sort our list into different formats? We have all sorts of different versions of this. There's reports that get you ready for auction. There's ones that show everything on there, and different export processes. So you can export to PDF if you want. And this is the printable document that once you get it, you can go through, print the document. It will be sorted in the way that you wanted to, and the different report type that you chose. Another way that I prefer is to download it in a CSV file. And one of the next videos, I'm going to show you how to load that into our Roddy's Portfolio Builder software. But for now, even if you don't use any other software, the spreadsheet is kind of the next step, because you're going to take this spreadsheet, and that's where you're going to see all the different properties and valuations. You can start to keep track of it this way, because you definitely need to have a system where you're going to look at properties, figure out which ones you're going to go through and do our 5 steps. So now we can look at what happens when we download the spreadsheet. It has all these different filters that come into play, or the different headers. So we have the report ID. That's the FLS ID that people are calling out when they're at auction. So if you go to auction, that's what they're going to be, that's the number they would be saying. If there's an FLS rep there, it helps you make sure you're bidding on the right house. You've got legal description. It has the mortgager first name, last name. So this is all of the information that you need to start sorting that house out. Now, again, on some of the next ones, we'll go through the rest of the 5 steps. Driving houses, doing title research, making sure that you're ready for auction, comping houses, that sort of thing. The nice thing about spreadsheets is now you've got it. And so if you're really familiar with Microsoft Excel, you can add a couple rows and start keeping track of your drive comments, your pricing comments, how much you think it's going to cost to fix it up. Another great technique is uploading it into Google Spreadsheets. Google Spreadsheets creates a spreadsheet that's like this, but instead of having it on your computer, it's available on the cloud. If you've got multiple people on your team that are going to be helping that process, if some people are going to be doing comparable sales analysis, somebody's going to be doing title, if you have a lot of people that are going to help and you're going to want to share that information, then I would recommend using Google Sheets, because if one person makes a change, they don't have to resend the spreadsheet to anybody. Everybody sees it at the same time. So again, this will be a report that we'll use when we go through the next video on what to do on your next steps. But this video is just to focus on how to get your list, how to filter, how to try to make sure that you're only looking at first position loans. Now again, there's another step later, because some of these don't have clear title, I'm sure of it. There'll be a few of these that we'll have to take off our list later. But this is your first step that you want to complete before you start driving houses. Now this would be the filter list that we go when we start driving by the houses and look at them. Nothing is going to be as good as going by the house yourself and seeing what the neighborhood looks like, what the house looks like, and what condition it's in. More videos on that later. Hope you stay tuned. Follow along for more classes. Thanks for your time.